Christchurch Cathedral is an imposing landmark in the ruined city, and its collapsed spire is a powerful symbol of the tragedy that's taken place. The 103-year-old structure is one of New Zealand's top tourist drawcards, but today it's a no-go zone. The Very Reverend Peter Beck is the Dean of the Cathedral, and he joins me live now from Christchurch. Reverend Beck, the cathedral and the spire particularly was a very much loved landmark. How are people there dealing with the fact that the spire is no longer there, and what's more, that there are victims under the rubble?
Sure. Well, the whole tower collapsed in the immediate seconds of the shock, and it's a huge tragedy, of course, because it opened in 81. It is the icon of our city, and I've been dealing with media calls all day, all around the world, because the cathedral is very much a symbol and sign of the city. So it's very closely to the hearts of all Christchurch people. So it is a huge tragedy. But of course it's a building, and we can replace buildings somehow, and so our first priority here, of course, is the people, and you've been seeing some of that on your program. The most important thing at the moment is to get the people out who are trapped, to deal with the injured, and to do whatever we can for one another in this city, because there's a huge trauma. This is a major disaster. So for me, I think the enormity of this thing just hasn't hit me yet. It's just too huge to bear in some ways. And to know that there are people who are under that rubble in the cathedral is a huge tragedy to comprehend. So it's a major thing. And in September last year, when we had that first quake, I was able to say to the city, the cathedral stands strong and resilient. It's a symbol and sign of the spirit of the city. Well, I think our spirit has been hugely battered. But I have to say, when you look around the city and we meet and look at what's going on here, there's a huge reaching out amongst our people to one another, to embrace each other, to take care of one another, and that's exactly part of what we call our Canterbury spirit. It's the human spirit at its very best.
And before we hear more of that, do you have any idea of how many people were actually inside the cathedral when the spire collapsed?
Yeah, it's difficult to tell. It is one of the most popular tourist attractions in the country. We get somewhere in the region of 700,000 visitors through there every year. So there were certainly people in there at that time. The police seem to think, and it would be my guess too, and we really don't know, probably somewhere between 15 and 20 people. And most of them, I don't know who they are, of course, but all I can guess is that most of those will be overseas visitors to the cathedral.
How are you and fellow clergymen dealing with the disaster now? What are you trying to do to help?
Oh, well, I think, I'm out and about around the middle of the city, both at the Civil Defence headquarters, supporting people there whenever I can, and at the hospital and various things like that. We have clergy and the other denominations too. We're one of the few professional groups that actually still live within the communities that we serve. So I've been saying to my colleagues, make sure you've got your dog collars on, your clerical collars, and be out and amongst your own neighbourhoods, not just your own parishioners, but the whole communities that you're part of. And that's what they're doing. And, they're trained to be pastors and counsellors, and that's what they're doing the best they can. So it's a huge task, and all people are reaching out to one another and doing the best they can.
You must be hearing some very heartbreaking stories, but I guess also some inspirational ones. Can you share any of those with us that stand out?
Well, I think that, we had, you would have seen it, I'm sure, the woman who was trapped in the cathedral above our north porch and a room up there. That was, she's one of our parishioners, one of our regulars at the cathedral, and just people coming through, loads of them wanting to get up there, wanting to try and help and support, and we managed to get a ladder, and the police and other people were up there and got her down. There were just so many people wanting to come and help, and I think you had a doctor on just before me, and I met her in the square, and she was describing the situation there, and we've seen a lot of that. Out and around the city, you're seeing neighbours reaching out to help one another, to try and make do some of the terrible damage that's done to homes so that people can actually still live around. The liquefaction that is around is just huge too. So everybody's getting out and about and trying to sort of clean that up and tidy it up. Sam Johnson, who's the chair of our Students' Association at the university, he's got hundreds of students who are actually just waiting to be asked to what to do, and they're turning up at the... He's managing all that from the Civil Defence Centre, and our volunteers are coming in from everywhere.
And finally, and just briefly, because we are running out of time here, are you bracing for the worst as this rescue operation moves into the next phase?
You have to say this is a huge, huge trauma. This is not something that's going to be over in a few days. I mean, the last quake in September, we were only just beginning to get traction. And we're all well aware, those of us who are in the caring profession, is that the psychological need, the post-traumatic stress, will take months to really hit its peak. Now that's all gone right back again. We're right at the start of it all again, and even worse. So this is a very, very long-term issue for our city and for our people, and it's it's tough. It's very, very tough. But we will get through. We will get there, and there's a huge sense of desire for that around our people too. But we've got to acknowledge that many, many people are severely traumatized, and that's going to take a long, long time to work through.
Well, clearly there are some pretty rough times ahead. We wish you all the best, and thank you very much for joining us tonight.
Thank you, and please, wherever you are, people over there, please remember us in your prayers or your thoughts, because we certainly need them at the moment.